everybody, it's Allison again, stlprostretch.com. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Today's video is on medial hamstring and kicking. So if you are a kicker, be it kickboxing or martial arts or whatever, and you're trying to get that kick height higher, I am no expert on this, although I have done turbo kick, that counts. And I also did do Taekwondo for like a summer one year. So I'm very familiar with like things like roundhouse and those types of kicks. We're going to demonstrate kicking first, and then like what muscles you need to lengthen to get a little bit higher in your kick. And then also the balancing muscles, because those are going to come into play if the balancing muscles are not loosened enough and they're not folding, you're never going to get the length in the medial hamstring. So you kind of have to do both. It might get a little more involved with that, but we're just going to stick with the balancing muscles for today. And as usual, work within your range of motion. If something hurts, stop doing it, especially if you get like pain in that sit bone when we're doing stretching or kicking, stop. Always move and resist most of the time, because this is resistance stretching, right? So, all right, I'm going to come to the wall and just show you some really bad kicks. And when I'm talking about this medial hamstring, it's right in here, and then your central hamstring is a little bit more to the back, but they really bump right up next to each other, and they attach here. And your sit bone, all your hamstrings originate at your sit bone. Just the bicep femoris comes out to the outer side, and then the semimembranosus and semitendinosus come in and attach on the inside. So that's when you have external rotation for the most part. Medial hamstring is going to be your kick like that, right? I really don't have any force right there. I don't know what I'm doing, and then you've kind of got kicks like that, right? So that would be central hamstring. Your foot's maybe turned out a little bit, but then if you're going to come around to the side, you're going to need that medial hamstring. So those are the two hamstrings that we're dealing with, and we're going to stretch them. So let's do that. Okay, the easiest way that I know how to do the medial hamstring and the central hamstring are kneeling. We'll go over some different ways that you can do it. So I'm going to bring my blanket down. I've got my blocks here. And I'm going to start with central hamstring. You've seen me do this in a million videos, I'm sure. But this one's new, so you might be more interested. So I'm going to come up. I'm going to put one leg forward. I put my right leg forward. I'm going to pull my heel in toward me to bring my body forward. And then I'm going to keep kicking the heel in toward me as I pull back. And I'm just going to come back until I feel a stretch. And then I'm going to pull forward again. So back and forth. I don't expect you to get deep into this stretch right away. We just want to keep that force, the heel kicking toward you. Keep kicking until you come back and you feel a stretch. And then pull right back out of it. So we're going to start with that. And then we're going to move on to, and I would say do 8 to 10 reps maybe. And then we're going to move on to the medial hamstring. For medial hamstring, I'm going to put my foot out to the side. So it's about a 45-degree angle away. My blocks are going to go on the inside. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull the heel in toward me. And I'm going to move away from it to stretch it. So it should feel a little different than the first stretch we did. Don't worry if your leg's not getting straight. That's fine. Because I think with kicking, what you've got going on is at the end of the kick, once you get that the knee extension going on, which is when your knee starts to straighten, then your quad starts to contract. So you've got a little bit of what's called reciprocal inhibition. So one muscle, your quad is contracting on the other muscle, which is going to make it easier for your medial hamstring on the other side to stretch. That is a researched phenomenon that happens, by the way. So I'm just going to keep this moving, and then we're going to be really boring and do the other side. So for the other side, obviously, we're just going to switch legs. Now your left leg's going to go forward, and I'm going to pull the heel in toward you. Keep pulling it in, and then I'm going to back it up, just like a hamstring curl at the gym, but we're just using the floor as resistance. So I'm pulling myself forward. I'm going to keep pulling myself forward by pulling that heel toward me as I move back until I feel a stretch. Now we are engaging this hamstring. So right now, you're probably not at your maximum stretch because we haven't contracted the quad yet. But sometimes we can have like overactive hip flexors and overactive quads, or just jammed up quads, jammed up hip flexors that can actually be preventing us from getting deeper into this stretch. And that's what we will go over after we do these couple of stretches. And then I'm going to move my foot out to the side. I'm going to pull my heel in toward me, 45 degrees away. Got my blocks on the inside. Pull it in and then back it up. And I can kind of feel as I'm doing this side that my quad right up here is kind of getting in the way because, well, this side I just always have a kind of hyperactive quad, but I can feel it jamming a little bit. It's sort of like a feeling of like the muscles bunching up. It's tight here. So next thing we're going to do is stretch out the quad and the hip flexor. And we will start with the hip flexor, which I've done in a billion other videos too, but just to get everything balanced out here, we'll do them all. Okay, so hip flexor, kneeling. If you don't get a mega stretch doing this, don't worry, it's still going to work. You're going to scissor your thighs together. I'm facing forward. I've got my tailbone pulled under, so do the opposite of sticking your butt out. And scissor your legs together and then move forward and back. Try to resist leaning forward or the belly spilling forward. And, you can imagine your back leg, like as you pull back out of this for the strength part of it, imagine kicking. Imagine kicking forward. So we're strengthening and stretching this muscle. So stretch and strengthen. We want to get this muscle burning a little bit. Not burning, but definitely feeling to the point where it's getting a little bit fatigued. You can feel it working. Now, if you wanted to get into quad a little bit more, like right up here, you could turn it. So you could turn to the right. And you're going to hit that quad a little bit more. You could also turn the opposite direction. So bring your foot in a little bit, bring your inner thighs together, and stretch that way and lean. It's going to be a huge stretch for your hip flexor. This is one of my favorite ways to stretch the hip flexor. And I really feel it. I'm really feeling it there. So I've got my hips turned a little bit. So that's one of the other muscles that if you're kicking, is going to need to be. So if I were kicking with my left leg and standing on my right, I would need this muscle to be stretched out right there. And then we're going to do the other side of the hip flexor. I think I'm going to turn around and do it the other way. So here we are. And I'm on the blanket. I've got my foot forward. Stack up as many blankets as you need to accommodate your knee, your kneecap. Again, I'm going to imagine my inner thighs pulling together, or my back leg pulling forward and my front leg pulling back. I'm going to do the opposite of sticking my butt out and shift forward and back. The most important thing here is to not do this. You are going to lose most of the stretch. So even if your range of motion is that, it's better than that. Because you're really not going to hit that. So do you see what I mean? Like that. You're not really stretching what we're trying to stretch versus that. So I don't mention dynamic contraction technique that much, but I have trained a little bit with dynamic contraction technique, and Nick does not go very far in this stretch because especially most men, I hate to say it, but women are just as tight too, can be. Most men cannot go too much farther than that. Just their hip flexors are so tight. And again, we can move into a twist, and that's going to hit more of the quad. Your rectus femoris attaches right here at this hip bone, so that's going to be a factor too. And my hip flexor is getting super tired. I can feel it. The hip flexor actually wraps around the lesser trochanter, so if you're feeling it kind of in your groin area, yeah, you're stretching your hip flexor. You're stretching your iliacus, actually. And then I'm going to move this foot in a little bit, bring my inner thighs together, and stretch and lean. I move in and out of it that way. Whew, that's a stretch for me. I hope you guys are feeling this. Make sure that you definitely turn your hips and pull the tailbone under and open the knee. It's going to give you a tons of stretch in your hip flexor. And then we're going to go after quad. All right. So for quad, we're going to do quad at the wall. I usually do this with a chair on most of my videos, but today I'm going to use a wall. So I'm going to bring my blanket right up against the wall. Actually, for this one, if your blanket's a little bit farther away from the wall, if you're really tight, the closer to the wall, the harder this is going to be and the deeper the stretch. And then the farther away from the wall, the easier it's going to be. So if you're not that flexible, start with it maybe 8 inches away from the wall, 6 inches away from the wall. Double up on your blankets if you need to. I'm going to start in a kneeling position. My knees are not on the blankets yet. I'm going to put my left knee on the blanket, and my foot is going to climb up the wall. I've got my foot kind of like that, but you could point it if you wanted to. I just don't like getting toenail polish on the wall. And then I'm going to draw my other leg through. If this is not an option for you, start this way, foot out to the side, and then just kneeling on this blanket, and then turn and flip your foot up the wall. So there we are. You can come forward and feel that stretch in the hip flexor and quad, which is really nice. It's probably what you're going to want. And then if you want to get deeper into the belly of the quad, you're going to back it up. So I am pushing into the wall with my foot, and I'm going to push-pull. So as I come forward, I'm pushing, and as I come back, I'm pushing. I'm doing the opposite of sticking my butt out and trying to get into that quad. This is my favorite stretch, I think, of all the stretches, because I am chronically tight in my quads. I wish I wasn't, but I am. And some of that has been alleviated by working my medial hamstring. So if you have really tight quads, keep working that medial hamstring and then stretching your quad. And eventually they're going to help balance each other out a little bit more. Also, groin has a little bit to do with it as well, and lateral hamstring, but that's advanced, a little bit more advanced problem solving. We're just talking about balancing muscles right now. So I always like to start with the hamstrings because sometimes when I'm doing this quad stretch, I get up here and my hamstring cramps. And if I stretch it first, typically it doesn't. Depends on the day. But sometimes I get greedy and I want to stretch this quad because I know my quads are tight, and I try to get into this position and the hamstring immediately cramps. And then I'm like, that was dumb. I should have just stretched the medial hamstring first. And then we're going to switch legs. So I'm going to come out of this, come back on my knees, and then bring my right leg back. And then my foot is up the wall. Pointed or toes tucked under, it's totally up to you. Bring the other leg through. Again, if you're having trouble getting into this position, then put your knee on it, turn to the right, left leg out, hands on the blocks, flip it up. And as you come forward, you're going to feel a really nice stretch from right up here in the hip flexor and the quad. I feel it all the way down my quad because I'm so tight. And then I'm going to come up. I'm going to push my foot into the wall, push it to come forward, and then keep pushing to pull back. And just don't, if it's really, really tight, don't work through the whole range of motion. Wait for it. Sometimes it's kind of nice just to hang out here for a moment and just let that muscle realize, oh, wow, okay, we are going to stretch like a massive stretch here, and just kind of get used to being in this position. I know when I did yoga, we used to do a static stretch this way, which felt really good to me. I didn't have any problems with my knees, but then when we started getting into more advanced poses, like Suptavarasana, which is the reclined one where your knees are bent, my quads were just so tight. I could get into the position. It felt good while I was doing it, but then afterwards, my knees would feel really weak and kind of hurt because I think it was just overstretching this quadriceps tendon, patellar tendon that comes across the knee because my quads were so tight. It was just yanking it. So I really think that working through this with resistance and working through your range of motion, not mine, is the way to go. Remember to keep your tailbone tucked under. Remind you of that. Because if you do it with the belly forward, all you're going to get is a lower quad knee stretch. You're not going to get the whole quad. Remember, the rectus femoris comes all the way up to the hip. So we got to keep that posterior tilt going on, which means do the opposite of sticking your butt out. I'm always throwing a lot of information out your way, right? You're probably like, does she ever shut up? No, I don't. I really don't. All right. And then we're going to go back to the medial hamstring and the quad. Now, you can do them like we did at the beginning, but just for kind of just doing something different, I want to try doing them on our back. So, again, you can come back to, remember we started with the kneeling one where you're pulling forward and then pulling back, and then you move it out to the side, pulling in and pulling back. And you should already feel, like if you go back to those, you should feel a little more open. But I'm going to do the supine version, which is on your back. So one I've done in a million videos as well. I'm going to bring my knee out to the side and make the OK sign with my left hand. And I'm going to hook my heel. I'm going to pull my heel down toward my groin. My arm is moving in the opposite direction to slow the movement down. So I'm pulling it down, strengthening the muscle. It should be right there in the inner, and then keep pulling down and then open up. So down and open. And then we're going to stretch. You could also do this, hold on a minute, with a strap as a straight leg stretch, hooking the foot, stretch the other leg out. I'm going to kick my heel toward the other heel. I'm going to keep kicking it down and then pull it out with my toes out away from the foot. It'd be really great if you could have somebody hold that other foot down as you do this. So I'm going down and then keep pulling down, and I'm going to open up out to the side. This would be like Supta Padangusthasana in yoga. So I got my foot my knee turned out to the side, foot turned out to the side, although I don't think they really do it like that in certain types of yoga. They just they go out. They don't worry about the foot or the knee, but for this, I do want you to turn your knee and your foot out. Okay? And then for central hamstring, bend the knee, lift the chest. I'm going to hold the bottom of my foot with both hands. It's a little crunchy in there, I know. I'm going to kick the heel down toward the hip, keep kicking down, and then pry it open. I am feeling a stretch about right there. So I'm going to pull back again. You could do this with a strap as well. You could do it as a straight leg stretch, which I'll demonstrate. Now, normally, this feels really, really, really intense to me, but since we've already stretched it first at the beginning, it's not really feeling that bad. It is a good stretch. I'm getting a little lateral hamstring there too, just because my lateral hamstring happens to be a little tighter. And then the straight leg version would look like this. So we're going to go down and then pull back. Keep kicking down and pull back. Ooh, that's a good stretch too. It's all good. And then we're going to switch legs. So again, right foot, knee goes out to the side. Make the OK sign with your hand. Hook the heel. The heel's going to kick down toward the groin. My arm is going to move the opposite way to slow the movement down. The muscle is right there, the medial hamstring. So slow it down and then let the arm win and open it back up. My heel is still kicking down toward my groin, and my arm is always moving out. So just letting the arm win and then the leg win. And then if you want to use the straight leg version, strap goes here. I'm going to run into the wall a little bit, but you're going to kick down and then take the foot out to the side. I kind of have to like rope climb up the strap as I bring it out, but it's mostly right hand. Down and out. And then we'll move on to central hamstring. So central hamstring, up. I'm going to kick the heel down toward my hip, straight down, and then as I kick down, I'm going to pull back with my arms, kind of pry my leg open, just back and forth, until I feel a stretch, which is about right there. And straight leg version would look like this. Go straight down and then pull back. take it to the wall and do some standing poses. So it probably is good to have a wall for this one. Right? I'm going to pull my inner thighs together and put my hands on my hips, and I'm going to let this right hip drop a little bit, and I'm going to move my torso down until I feel a stretch, and then I'm going to come back up again. Now, if you feel this in the sit bones, stop doing it. Probably is something off with your trochanter, or your hip is not really in the socket right. I don't know, but if it hurts, just please stop. But if it doesn't, you've got this foot turned out enough. Some of you might actually need to turn this right toe out a little bit more to get that external rotation of the leg. You're going to pull the inner thighs together and lean. I'm not locking out this right knee. I want you to have a little bit of a bend in it, and then come down until you feel a stretch and pull it back up again. So we are working into Trikonasana. It's kind of a weird version of Trikonasana, but that's okay. And you should feel this all medial hamstring. It should really be pretty apparent, like what muscle you're stretching. I definitely feel it a lot. And then we're going to work into another pose that is called balancing half moon. And this one's kind of fun because it challenges your balance. You're going to start here with your knee bent like this. This is Warrior 2. I think I have a yoga and stretching 1. If you want to revisit this pose, it will tell you like the foot position and everything. So my right toes are pointing forward, maybe even out a little bit, and then my left toes are in a little bit. I'm going to bend. I'm going to put my hand on the ground. If you cannot touch the ground, grab a block. Put it right in front of the foot. We're going to bend. We're going to bring that block forward, and we're going to hop this foot forward, block forward, and we're going to start lifting the back leg. Here's where the wall is going to come in handy. You can fall in it if you need to, and you're going to lift that leg up. So you can just kind of move in and out of it. You guys that are balance practicing, this is great for balance practicing. You can also try to, lean against the wall and lift that left hip up a little bit more. And that is your balancing half moon stretch, which I think goes directly into kicking. I could be wrong. Just seems like the same mechanic. So again, the other side, the left toes are going to point forward. Slide here a little bit. Maybe even turn the toes out a little bit because we want this thigh to externally rotate. And the right leg is going to be kind of internally rotated just a little bit. I'm going to draw my inner thighs together, lift my chest, and I'm going to lean. Remember, this left leg is not locked. It is just a micro bend. Like, nobody would know, except you, that it's not completely locked. That's what we want. And move in and out. Your spine stays straight. And I'm kind of thinking about pushing this hip out the other way. It is not, we're not trying to get, there's so many ways to do triangle, but right now we're just trying to get into that medial hamstring. So that's what I want you to focus on. I'm pulling my heels towards each other a little bit. And then I'm going to work into that balancing half moon, which is kind of fun. So I've got my block. Some of you might not be able to touch the ground. And I'm kind of used to doing it with the block anyway. So I'm going to bend my front knee, put the block down. I'm going to move the block, move my back foot, move the block, move my back foot, and then lift. And then move back again. So I'm moving, lifting. Use that wall for support if you want to, and then back again. Moving and lifting. For those of you that do yoga, this is a great way to practice to get your balance down too. Just moving in and out of it. Because then when you're out on the floor and you don't have a wall, you're going to feel a little more confident because you've some practice under your belt, right? Anyway, those are some ideas that I kind of thought of for working into a deeper kick. Hopefully you have gotten something out of this today and I haven't wasted all of your time. Take what you will. And I will see you the next time. I'm open for any ideas. If any of you want to throw out some ideas for future videos. And happy stretching. Bye-bye.